We are Maren and Angela, and this is Homeschool Unrefined. We created this podcast to change the conversation about homeschool. This is a place where we encourage each other to do less, be ourselves, embrace natural learning, and keep homeschool simple, real, and fun. We are longtime friends, Minnesotans, and practiced homeschool parents with our master's degrees in education. We are an inclusive and non-sectarian podcasting community. We believe Black Lives Matter and affirm LGBTQ plus families. We hope this is a place where we can all learn and grow together.
This is episode 171, What We Don't Do. And we are going to get to that in just a minute. But first, hi, Angela.
Hi. I'm excited for our episode because it's, I think a listener favorite. So we're doing it again. It is a listener
favorite. It's backed by popular demand.
Yep.
And it's one of our favorites too.
Yep.
Which we'll talk about why.
Yes.
In just a minute. But first we have, instead of an aha moment today,
yep,
we have more of a full circle moment, I would say.
Full circle moment. Yes. So we have teamed up with Sparkle Stories, and we wanted to tell you about Sparkle Stories because the reason this is full circle is because we have loved Sparkle Stories for so long.
Years.
Since the beginning.
Yeah.
Right?
Since
our kids were very little.
Since our kids were little, and we've listened to their stories. They are an audio story creator. They're story creators.
Right. They create original stories. David Sewell McCann is the genius who creates these stories, which are amazing and for kids of all ages. Mm-hmm. I think you were saying earlier, Maren, you spelled it out really well. They kind of get kids through some tough times.
Yes.
Or hard things in a very gentle way. Yes.
Without, your kids having to go through it necessarily even themselves. They get to see these lovable characters they can really connect with, going through things and working things out. And so they can use that in their own lives. For sure. And it's not just about hard things either. Really
There's a lot of joyous stories too.
Yes.
But my kids listen to Sparkle Stories for, I think we were subscribers, I'm going to say 7 or 8 years.
Yeah. Yep.
And sometimes that's what we did for homeschool.
Yes.
That was it.
Sure.
Right? They are so well done, and so they give you a lot to think about that it can be your homeschool for the day, especially when your kids are younger.
Yep. And one of their most popular stories is Martin and Sylvia.
Yep.
Who are they're a homeschooling family.
Yes. So David created a story based on a blog we wrote about 10 ways to have a less stressful holiday that's on their blog. They created a story based on our blog. And there is a printable resource that goes with that. And so that is our stuff in a Martin and Sylvia story, which that's why this is full circle for us, because we are really pumped about this. We feel so honored.
We feel so honored. I think Sparkle Stories was probably on our dream list of people to work with when we started this podcast.
Yeah. And
so
here we are.
This is just really exciting. So thank you, Sparkle Stories. And they are extending a 30-day free trial with code HOMESCHOOLUNREFINED. Normally, it's only a 10-day trial. So you're getting 30 days. This, like you said, Angela, at one point, this could be your homeschool from now until the end of the year.
Right. So if you haven't signed up for Sparkle Stories, you should use our code, and then you get it free for 30 days. You can just try it out and see how you like it before you have to pay for it. So this could get you through this holiday season.
All right. Our sponsor for this episode is Nextbooks. Nextbooks.org is fixing school so that it's no longer boring or irrelevant. How awesome is that? They make learning fun with really engaging videos, and they have this mastery-based model so you can take quizzes as many times as you want until you get to the place where you feel ready to be done.
So they have courses like how to be an adult, build your own computer, 3D printing. My kids are really into that right now. Mm-hmm. Kid Investor. And these courses are self-directed, so you can work as fast or as slow as you like. You can do school around your schedule rather than fitting your school into somebody else's schedule. And for a subscription of just $19 a month, you can have access to all of their courses. So it's not like you have to decide if you're going to try a new course.
Right.
You just pay this monthly subscription. You can try them all. You can try like a little bit of it. And if you don't like it, you can try something else.
And I did see they have some math classes on there too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So some other traditional things too, which is really great to be able to outsource that. So you can get your free trial today at nextbooks.org. That's nexbooks.org, and get 10% off your subscription by using the discount code UNREFINED. Nextbooks.org, where school is no longer boring and irrelevant.
All right. So I'm super excited to get into our main topic today, which is what we don't do. I think we have done, I'm going to say 4 or 5 of these episodes.
4 or 5, yeah. And I think maybe even more on Patreon, or at least we talk about it.
We talk about it a lot. Looked back, our first episode was in 2017.
Yes.
So we've been doing this a long time. And we love doing this because we want to free you up to think about some things that you don't need to do.
Exactly. We can't, and we really shouldn't be doing everything.
No.
And so it's, to me, important to almost celebrate these things that we don't do, so that we feel, I think, validated in those choices.
Yeah.
We have to make choices.
Right. And so we're going to talk about some things that we don't do, but like our don't do things might be something that you love to do. It might be your thing.
Yes.
And so our don't do lists are going to look different, and that's fine. We think you need to celebrate you.
Absolutely.
Be who you are. Do the things that light you up and that are important to you, and that's great. And but make sure you have things that you're also not doing, and don't feel bad or guilty about that.
Right.
Just because your friends do them, or this Instagram follow does that, or this other homeschool parent does that. It's okay. You can feel the freedom to be yourself and do the things that light you up. And that's kind of a theme of our podcast too.
Absolutely. Rock your strengths. And we often talk about outsourcing things, but also it's okay if just things don't get done.
Yeah.
You may not just outsource something. It might just not get done. And
that's okay.
That's great too.
Yeah.
And we like to talk about this as well because oftentimes the parent at home can tend to take on so much, maybe too much of the work because we're home and we can. And
or people think we can.
Or we think
we should.
Yes. Yes. Or it looks like we can.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we should. So, I think that's just a tendency. I know it is of me. And I don't think that's necessarily even fair to the family. This dynamic kind of can start where it's imbalanced. It's important for us to allow other family members to take on tasks to contribute to the family.
For sure. And, that's good to let other people contribute.
Yep.
And use their strengths. Also, like you said, some things that we're going to talk about, nobody in our family does. And that's okay.
Yes.
We've just let go of that. Right.
And I think it's really good. I think it's a job almost. It's work to kind of identify what is important to you.
Mm-hmm.
And do those things, and identify what's less important, what's less of a priority. And I think that could be so hard to do. And maybe that's the hardest part of this whole thing. Right. Is to identify what you can let go of.
Yeah.
Or do less of. It doesn't mean you have to absolutely not do it, but less too.
Right. So we hope to inspire you with what we're talking about. Again, you may love doing these things, and that's fine. So just listen and feel encouraged to find your own list of things that you don't do.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's get started.
Yes.
We are going to do a total of 10. So 5 each.
5 each.
Yep, 5 each. And we'll just go back and forth maybe in But I also think that we should have some discussion because I do think we're going to have some, maybe not overlap, but agreement.
Yes, probably.
Or maybe not on some, but.
Or maybe disagreement.
Maybe not disagreement, but like different. We're just different in some ways, which is great too. But I do feel like we're going to have some things that I'm going to be nodding my head.
Yes.
I usually do on these. I like to celebrate not doing things. So, all right. And so, Angela, do you want to get started?
Sure. I will get started. This is a new thing for me. So it's interesting because we've been doing these episodes for a long time and I have a few new things that I've let go of. And so I'm happy to be talking about those. My first one is I don't buy in bulk anymore. And that kind of used to be my thing. And I don't want to just say like buying in bulk, but like being prepared.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean?
With food.
Okay.
Never running out. Right. Always having options.
Yes.
And I would also buy in bulk to save money. And I felt like it was time saving. Mm-hmm. I felt like it was good for the environment. Mm-hmm. And for all those reasons, I felt like it was a really important value to uphold.
Right.
And I think I did that for, I'm guessing, 15 years.
Wow.
Well,
that's a commitment. I mean, that is a commitment.
Yeah.
That's a lifestyle.
And I just, actually, I'm going to say 13 years. It hasn't been 15. It's been 13.
You can round up.
But I think in the last year, I don't know if it was COVID and, like everything changes with COVID, but where I am now feeling like that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to source bulk items. Because I was buying things from different places. I'll get beef from this farmer and I'll get my flour from this website or whatever. So it's a lot of work to do that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to store it.
Yes, absolutely.
We have 2 freezers in our garage.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So that tells you
that's
it's a lot of work to store it. It's a lot of work to be always thinking ahead. And I think this is my personality too. I'm an Enneagram 6 and one of my big values is feeling safe and secure.
Yep.
And so I always want to feel secure that we are not going to run out of
the thing.
Name it.
Whatever it is.
Beans.
Yes.
Meat.
Yeah.
Rice. And I think Costco fed into that for me. Once I was a member of Costco, I was like, oh, this is amazing, serving all my bulk needs.
Right.
But here's the thing too, I realized it's stressful for me too.
Yeah.
Because I see the things in my freezer or in my cupboards and I think, you know what? I've got those, I got that beef roast and I'm going to have to figure out how to use it.
Right.
And so I am then, what's the word? Controlled by the things that are in my,
consumed by working on this thing.
Yeah. I'm always trying to figure out what's in my freezer and what do I need to use up?
Yes.
And I realized we've been eating through all of our food and not replacing it, and I realized it's kind of less stressful for me.
Yeah.
Which I know you have not really been a bulk buyer, so you probably knew this. You're probably nodding along, but it is really for me in this season easier to just buy what we need each week.
Definitely. I have in the past gotten things from probably mostly Costco size items, which I also have to, I've had to figure out what's worth getting in bulk and what's not.
Yeah.
We get a big bag of rice.
Yeah, I get that too.
Bag of rice.
I get that too.
Yeah.
Because we go through that.
That's worth it.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. There are other things it's just really not.
It's too much.
You know what? I actually feel like we live in a bigger house now. We have space. We could do it. I still don't think it's worth it. So a lot of the time for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I get
this is a thing that I just feel like I think it's great that people do this. So
Yeah.
You know, it is a great
I see
thing
the
to do.
benefit. I see why you might.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. What's your first thing, Maren?
Okay. Well, my first thing is actually something that I think I've alluded to in the past, maybe even this season of the podcast. And that is I do not check in and make sure my kids have brushed their teeth or taken showers and our baths.
Yeah.
You know, I highly encourage that behavior. In fact, I tell people, I even say,
you highly encourage your kids to do it.
I highly encourage my kids to do it.
Yes.
But I don't make it a rule that is has to happen.
Okay.
You know, and I think it's better because it is, for me, it takes off this nagging. It's what I was doing was nagging in the past, and it was creating a bad relationship between me and my kids. You know, it was kind of like I cared more than they did about it. And so I was the one pushing it and making it happen and requiring and watching with my eyes to make sure it happened.
Yeah.
And they were like, I'm only doing this to make you happy. That is the only reason why I'm doing this. And so it was just, you know, and they'd be frustrated with me that I was so being controlling, and at night everybody's tired, you know, and all these things. And so me not managing that has helped so much because, number one, I still encourage it, and my kids are feeling empowered to make the decision to do those things. And that's the goal. They may not do it perfectly right now, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
So this is interesting. I can understand the teeth brushing because you've probably been working on that since they were 2 or whatever time, whenever you start brushing teeth, or younger. But our kids are both tweens and teens, which is when they need to start showering more.
Yeah.
You know? So how are you backing off on that now? I mean, I know I asked you about this before, but what do you do if someone really needs a shower?
You know, my kids care, I guess, if they smell. So I have let them know, I can smell you. I just want you to know I can smell. I can smell you.
Okay.
I suggest
but you
a shower.
don't tell them to shower.
Yes, exactly. And that's enough now. I don't know, if I had been back when I required showers, that might not have been enough because they were kind of pushing back.
Yeah.
And now, and it might not be that night. We always do. Our family just does showers at night. It's just easier for us. And so, it might not be that night that the shower gets taken, but it will happen soon.
Yeah. So you're just letting them experience the natural consequences of not showering or brushing their teeth.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't feel good. Maybe they don't like the way their hair looks because it's whatever, but they'll figure it out.
They will figure it out. And another thing that I think is happening is they are kind of managing their time better because they're making the decision to take the shower. It's important to them now.
Yeah.
And so they figure out, I need to stop watching this show now and go take a shower. Yeah. They tell themselves that. I never tell them that, ever.
This is really good.
Yeah.
This is so good, Maren.
It feels good. It feels so good. I feel like a huge weight off of my shoulders.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're learning better than they were before. So
that's so awesome. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
I don't think I'm there yet.
Yeah.
But I can see, because would I somebody saying, Angela, you need to shower right now?
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, I'm in the middle of this, and no, I hadn't planned it. And
yeah, I know. And I think, and another thing is, and this is our kids getting older, and they're just they're feeling this sense of autonomy in their own body. And so naturally it feels like they should have power over their own body. And so for me to force that on them, it just doesn't feel right right now.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, next, Angela,
my next one is similar, I guess, to yours, which is I don't make my kids clean their room. Again, this is a new one.
Yeah.
It's a new development for me. Something I've recently backed off of because I realized this is their own space. This is their space, and they need to learn how to be stewards of their own space, or I don't know what the right word is, like in control of their own space.
Yep.
And they need to learn like when it doesn't feel good, and when they're sick of it, then they can start cleaning it. And so I've, instead of telling them to clean their rooms, I have started saying, when you are ready to clean your room, let me know, and I would love to help you.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
I'd love to give you some support in that if you ever want to. So just let me know. But I'm not telling you that I'm not telling you need to. I'm telling you just let me know.
I love that because it also, you are coming in to support them.
Yeah.
So they know they don't have to take this big project, which is probably a big project, but at that point, maybe
it's a big project
on by themselves.
Yeah. And I would say, like, because my kids are older, I think this works. When they were younger, I think if my kids were younger right now, I would probably do it differently. Yeah. I might have like times to clean up or something, like getting them used to it. But I feel like because they're older, this is their own space. It needs to feel different than the rest of the house. Right. Again, they are on their way to adulthood. They're like starting to separate from us and be independent. And but the nagging voice in my head is like, of course, looking to the future. Yeah. The fear of, are they always going to have a messy house? What if they share a room with somebody someday at college or something and they're the messy roommate? But I don't think me forcing a clean room is going to make them want to have a clean space.
I can confirm that this is great because I was that kid who did not do a great job of cleaning my room. And I did have to clean shared space, which is a good lesson.
Yes, you're right.
And it's good to have a place to just be yourself too.
Yeah.
And if you don't care about what, or if you really don't care about, how messy your desk is or whatever, your bed, and then like it's morally neutral.
Yeah.
I think it is. It's not like it's not required for life, but
being a good person.
But also it is good to sometimes learn to live with, the mess and then feel the difference. Like when you do decide, when you have decided yourself to clean it up, it feels good. It feels good. And I'm like, oh, I just found 5 things that I have been missing for like a month.
Or I love being in these clean sheets in my clean room or whatever.
That feels really good. Yeah. And when you decide to do that, it's much more powerful.
Yeah, you're right.
You notice those results.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. What's your next one, Maren?
My next one is I don't do late night talks with my kids, especially because this may change. I know my kids are getting older. And I think that they kind of like sometimes, get a lot of energy in the evenings at night even. And so this may change. I don't know. But right now, I'm not good at getting into deep conversations late at night. Even when my kids are having a hard time and they need help, I will be there to lay next to you. I will rub your back while I lay next to you. I will be there for you, but I'm not usually able to have like deep conversations. I will even listen. I'll even listen.
It's really good to know your boundaries and name them. Like that is something that you can't do. Right. And it's good to communicate that with them. To know like I'm there for you. But if you want to talk about this, we might have to talk during the day.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And what has happened since I've been able to have that, boundary is my husband has really stepped up and had some great conversations with our kids at night because he doesn't get like me at night. He doesn't. He can handle that so much more than I can.
Yeah.
And then another thing is like, my kids have learned to come and talk to me at other times as well.
Yeah.
And like my youngest who, if she's having a hard time at night, she'll just come and lay by me. And what could have been like an hour-long conversation often just kind of melts away just by like
being close to you.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So sometimes it's not always a conversation that actually needs to happen. It's just like we're tired and we need we need some comfort.
Right. Because things always feel harder at night too.
I
think they do. It is for me. Really they do.
Yes.
In the morning, I'm like, oh, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah. Oftentimes I'm like, I'm going to stop talking because I know that if I talk about this in the morning, it'll come out much better.
Yeah, right.
I'm just going to stop.
Yeah.
Yes. So, all right. Next, Angela, how about you?
Okay. So my kids are in school now, and my oldest went to school. This is her 3rd year in high school. So she was homeschooled before that. So I've had her in school for 3 years. Yeah, but one thing I do with kids in school is I do not worry about their grades. And I think I'm unique from what I've heard them talking about their friends.
Oh, yes.
I think I'm unique. Now, I don't want them to fail.
Right.
I really don't. I don't want them to fail. I want them to find success. I want them to feel good about the work that they're doing. But personally, I don't care about the actual grade. And if you are... if you get a bad grade, I do not think this is like
the end of the world.
The end of the world. This is going to be fine. This is going to be fine.
Yeah.
I care more about your experience in the class, and how you're doing mentally and emotionally.
Yes.
Than I do about grades.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So
that's so great, and I think that is unique.
It is. And I don't know if that's a homeschool mindset, like going from homeschool to school. Or I don't know what that is. I think that's partially it, maybe. Or I don't know.
Well, it is interesting, though, because even, going from homeschool to school, it's a different... I have very strong feelings about our process. And when I've homeschooled, I've never been about the grade. Ever. It's always about the process, about the actual internal learning that happens and all this stuff. And now I have 3 kids in school.
Yeah.
And I find myself having to talk myself out of caring about the final product.
Oh, okay.
Like it is because it's just so, it's exactly what,
it's ingrained
the schools do.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about this in a recent Patreon episode, but
yes.
Like why do we care about those kinds of things, like outside expectations? Yeah.
Values, yep.
Yeah.
And so it's work. It's work to undo that.
Right.
Yeah. So good job. I mean, I commend you.
I mean,
especially in high school, because unfortunately, high school grades can be, it can affect whatever acceptance into certain places. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like, and this might be like the questioner in me because I'm a questioner. Gretchen Rubin's 4 tendencies, but like in my mind, I know that grades aren't reflective of the person.
Right.
And so, it might prevent you from getting into a certain school or something, but I'm like, I don't know. Now I don't have kids in college yet, but I feel like, well, then this wasn't the right school for me.
Right.
Wasn't the right, if that's how you are judging my kid, well,
right.
Then you don't. I don't know. You're not the right place. And I don't know. That's easy for me to say now when I haven't gone through that process
I love that
yet.
Confidence.
But that's how I'm feeling now, as a kind of like, I feel a little bit like a rebel. Like, you're not going to tell me that this matters when I know it doesn't.
Yep.
So anyway,
I love that. I'm inspired.
I could change. This could change in a year or two. We'll see.
Right. Okay.
What is your next one, Maren?
All right. My next one is, I really don't have unnatural consequences and or punishments for my kids. So, I just kind of feel like the experience is the learning. The experience is the learning. The mistake is the learning. Judgment on those things are, I think, kind of deter from the learning.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just feel like to actually get the most effect out of the learning, it is to kind of let things unroll as they should.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So that's really hard to do. I mean, for me, I like to say that I do that.
Yeah.
But then I have a hard time following through sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I understand. And I do feel like, I have taken away screens, for instance.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that is, I mean, it is maybe unnatural in that I am taking something away that didn't actually directly relate to what just happened,
Yeah.
But I do feel like sometimes, we will have a conversation and I will say, like, I feel like what I see as the parent is that the amount of time you've been on screens has like contributed to this bad mood that you're in that has caused some issue or whatever. And it's like, it's more of like a discussion and like, and it's related.
Yeah.
It is related.
And so you're not just saying like, you just hit your sister.
Yeah.
No screens for you.
Right.
You're not
that
like,
would never,
just...
it wouldn't be just like, this happened, now we're going to take, you're going to get grounded. If we don't, we just like, don't do that.
Yeah.
That's not a good idea for our family. And I just feel like that doesn't actually teach the child, the life lesson, the possible life lesson in that problem, in that scenario.
Right.
Grounding,
it just teaches them like, I don't want to get caught doing this.
Right.
Because I might get my screen taken
I don't
away.
want to get caught.
Yeah.
I don't, or it can also be shaming. Like, I'm a bad person. I do this and then bad things happen. Like, my parents take things away from me.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily get the connection.
Right.
So, it has to be a natural thing. So
totally. That's so good. I love that. I'm on my way to there, but I'm not like fully there yet. And I want to be that way. So thank you for showing the way.
Well, maybe I am too. I don't know. I put
we're all like, this is a practice. Parenting is a practice. And sometimes we do things we don't want to do. And then we just learn from that.
Amen.
Yep.
Very good. All right. What's next for you, Angela?
Okay. My next one is, and this is a new one again for me.
Okay.
Recently adopted in the last few months, but I'm not worrying about veggies anymore.
Whoa.
Now,
tell us more.
I think in the past, I've always been like, let's make sure you're eating some veggies. Let's put some veggies on that plate. Did you eat your veggies? I was that kind of parent. And now, again, it might be because they're getting older and they have more independence and they can make more decisions about their food. But also, like, I feel like I'll provide veggies and that's it. Like, I have bigger things to think about.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I don't know. Letting go of the veggie stress was really freeing to me. It's just like, I'm going to provide this. You might eat it or you might not. And you know what? That's all I could do.
I feel like the more we care about it, the more, especially some kids, are going to be resistant to it. And so the fact that you value it and you're providing them is often enough.
Yeah. I mean, and
what else can you do?
What? I know. Like when you get tweens and teens, when they get older, like they're more into junk food because like that's what they do with friends or whatever. At least my kids have been, because you have some more freedom. I was like that as a teen, right? And so like, I don't know. I feel like this is a part of growing up and it was just something I had to let go of. And like, I can't care about that anymore when I'm caring about lots of other like things, right? I feel like I've done my part. Yep. And I got to move on. And, if I had younger kids, I think I would probably I would do that differently too. I wouldn't be as hung up on the veggies.
Yes. I remember in my early childhood family education class, in the parent education portion, I remember one of the teachers for the parents was saying, you can't control, there are a few things like you just cannot control, even, your toddler. You can't control what they eat. And you can't control when they go to the bathroom. Like you can train them in those things, but you cannot force them to do either of those things.
Or sleep.
Yes. It was that one too. One. Yes. And I remember at that time thinking, I am not going to emphasize or stress eating fruits or veggies or whatever. I'm just going to put them out. And oftentimes ever since then, I think I've put veggies like out on a cutting board. Yeah. And they're just out like throughout the day.
Yeah.
And they just get eaten. So then I don't have to worry about meals.
So you're not worrying about them at meals because you set them out and hopefully they take them.
Yes. And I think they do. I mean, they really get eaten up.
That's awesome. All right. What's your next one, Maren?
All right. My next one is, and if you know me, this might be surprising. I do not force music lessons on my kids, which you might be surprised about because I am a musician. I had music lessons my whole life, for the most part.
Yeah.
Especially when I was a kid. So, and it was a really important part of my life as a kid. And and I'm so thankful I had those music lessons.
Okay.
I'm so glad I had those experiences. And yet I'm not forcing those on my kids.
Okay, so why? If you were so thankful for them.
Well, yeah, I know. It's interesting because I think it's because my main goal for my kids in music is to enjoy music their whole lives, to love music, appreciate music. And so I have done a lot of teaching my kids about music, just not in a formal way or like with an instrument or anything like that. But they've really learned to like appreciate music, and they listen to lots of music with me all the time. Okay. So that's like my goal.
Yeah.
And I see that even especially with my oldest, that she's listening to lots of different kinds of music, and it's really like almost educational to her. Like it's like writing. It's like reading poetry.
Yeah. For sure.
And put to music, it's just a whole new level of this art, right?
Right.
And so I see her being like really actually moved by music.
Mm-hmm.
And it being part of her, journey, her growth. And I just love that so much. And also my kids haven't ever like gotten super excited about an instrument. I feel like if they did, I've exposed them to lots of instruments. If they did, I would for sure encourage that.
Yeah.
But oftentimes music, what can happen with music lessons is it becomes like a stress and like an obligation. And I just didn't want that to be part of their outlook on, music. So I actually think at any time though, they could start an instrument. And there have been times where I've been like, okay, we're going to maybe this year we're going to start an instrument. And it's always been met with resistance. Mm-hmm. So it just like, it wasn't the right time. I wasn't ready to take on that kind of that stress or that, the resistance. And I wasn't in a place where I could like encourage it in a positive way.
Yeah.
And it being a good experience. So I let it go. But I do feel like, I still don't, I'm not saying that's never going to happen either.
Mm-hmm.
I still think there's like time. There's always time.
This is so interesting because I think like we could do a whole episode on this, but the parent role in like, overseeing music lessons and then music practice is so stressful and intense. It just is.
It can be. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Unless you have a really self-motivated child, which I think that can happen.
Right.
But I think that's very rare.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, that was the same for me. I liked music. I wanted to learn piano. I did, but my mom did always have to kind of hound me to practice.
Right.
And so I like kind of resented it at the time, but now as an adult, I'm glad I have that skill.
Right. Right.
But was that the right thing to do? I don't know. Like, I don't know the,
well, I think it's different for everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
I really do. I mean, some people like that, the pressure, or they maybe just need to choose it. Like, I remember when I was I think it was when I was in 6th grade, I begged to quit piano lessons, and my mom let me. She let me quit.
Oh, that's
and
good.
Yep. And then a year later, I missed it. And I'm ready to go back. But it has to be a different kind of teacher. I told her I want a teacher who's fun and who doesn't make me feel bad if I don't do things right.
Totally.
And so she helped me find a teacher who let me play the music I wanted to play, the popular music.
Seriously.
All the sheet music that I bought.
Yeah.
And she helped me learn how to improvise a little. And just a lot of things that are really part of music that my traditional, learning had not even exposed me to. And it was the part that brought it alive for me.
That's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that you had your own control over how you were learning.
Yes.
It's probably really beneficial.
Yes, exactly.
And so that's what you're trying to give your kids is control over it. Yeah.
And then, to be honest, after I had that freedom and I learned this whole new world of music, I actually went kind of serious then again. I did competitions after that and lots more classical music. So it was just I just needed a breather, and I needed choice and to open things up for me. I needed like you said, I needed to have that control. Yes. For what was going on.
Yes.
So, yep. All right. All right. How about you, Angela? Is this our last? Is this your last one?
This is my last one.
All right.
My last one is, okay, I decided this a while ago. I'm not going to go work out in a gym anymore.
Whoa.
I'm too old for that. Actually, not too old for that. I mean, if you like to work out in a gym, that's great. And I know you do, Maren. So
I do.
I mean, I'm too old for me. I feel like I'm too old to do something I don't like.
Absolutely.
So,
yes.
I need to do things that I enjoy. And I do not enjoy working out in the traditional going to the gym sense. Do not like that at all. So I'm not doing that. And
when you say going to the gym in the traditional going to the gym sense, what do you mean? Going into the workout room and...
I mean, taking classes. I mean, doing the elliptical.
Yeah.
I mean, using their weights.
Yeah.
Yep. It feels like it's 2 hours. By the time you drive there and drive home and everything, it's 2 hours.
Yep.
And it's just not something I enjoy. I'm just not going to do that. And I think exercise is important. I think getting in nature is important. And I think why not double up here and just get in nature instead of going inside to a sweaty enclosed gym? This is just me.
Yes.
And so I want my working out, which I'm putting in quotes, to be just more natural.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm not going to do YouTube videos. I mean, sometimes I do YouTube videos, or sometimes I get a bit more intense and but I don't know. I feel for me, I like walking. Yeah. And you know what? I think probably young people would like walking too, but they're too embarrassed to like walking. And they feel they should be doing something a little bit more. And I'm to the age where I'm no, I like walking. I like hiking, and I'm going to do things that I enjoy and not what the world is telling me I should be doing.
So good. So good.
So,
yes, I love that. And the great thing about that is you will keep doing that then, because you really like doing it.
That's true.
that's the best part. That's the best thing you can do for yourself.
Find something you enjoy.
Activity wise.
Yeah. So if you enjoy going to the gym,
keep doing it.
Get down. Do it.
Definitely.
I'm not going to pretend like I like being on the elliptical.
Don't pretend like you like doing that. I remember you and I mean, you definitely, I remember you were so good at going to the gym when we were younger, in our 20s. I'm thinking of our 20s. We both had a gym membership and you did a great job of going. I sort of did.
I know.
I did sometimes.
And I think like when I was younger, it was just like my free time activity.
Yes.
It was like what I did with my free time.
Sure.
It was a thing that people our age did.
Yes.
So.
Yep. That's so great. Good for you for knowing yourself.
Yep.
And embracing it. Just doing it.
All right. What's your last one, Maren?
My last one is I do not work very hard to make my lawn look pretty. Now, yes. I do like to get outside and do yard work. So I do that. I pull weeds sometimes, but I don't do it like regularly. Like I don't make it so my yard never has weeds. But like, I don't know. I do it when it feels good to me because I want to get outside and do a project.
Yeah.
I don't do it to make, the neighbors enjoy what they're looking at while they drive home. Know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm the same.
Yeah.
But you've always said, like, guess what? Kids live here. So there's going to be, like, evidence of that in our yard.
I mean, when my kids were young, we had dirt holes in our yard and patches of no grass because of just the activity going on.
Yes.
I mean, what are you supposed to do? Cover that up?
Yeah.
And then just like not enjoy that plot of land that you are paying for? That's what I just think. That's in my mind. I'm like, I need to make use of all the space that I have purchased.
Yes.
And so it's begging to be used. It is. So I'm just going to do that. And so, when my kids were younger too, we always had like a water table and we even had like pretend tools, pretend cooking, dishes out there. So we would make mud pies all the time. And, so it was just, like that all the time. Now my kids are older now. And so it's not always like that as much anymore. But we do have a dog now too. And I feel like I'm not going to care that much. I want my dog to run around and I want my kids to run around with my dog.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's the way it is.
I agree. We, my husband likes mowing and he likes to keep the grass mowed.
Yeah.
And trimmed. Yes. But other than that, I want to do the minimum because like, I don't want to have another thing to do.
Agreed.
I don't want to have a list of another, I've got to go, whatever. I don't know. What do people do? Weed, plant stuff.
Yeah.
And, again, if that's your thing and you love doing that, I think for some people it's their hobby.
It is.
And
it is.
It's like me with my plants inside. I like making them look pretty.
Yes.
And so I think some people enjoy doing that work outside.
Totally valid. Totally valid.
Do that. But if you don't like doing it and you're only doing it to make your neighbors not mad at you or to look on par with everybody in your neighborhood, I think that's a wrong reason and just do the minimum.
And when we bought this house a year and a half ago, the previous owners were meticulous. Meticulous. And, we have this like stone kind of retaining wall in our backyard. Yeah. And now it has weeds in between all the stones. And I'm like, well, that's a shame. That's the way it's going to be from now on.
Yeah.
And our neighbors did mention, they were like, and they were joking because they're also not, thankfully, meticulous about their lawns.
Oh, good.
Like, wow, the old neighbors never would have let that happen.
They said that?
Yeah. But that's because we both kind of have agreed to like,
they're
not
probably
care that
happy
much.
that you're there.
Right.
And they don't have to keep up.
Thankfully. But we have a lot of neighbors who do care.
A lot.
They're
not going in your backyard, so it's okay.
Yeah. No, I know. But I mean, I know it doesn't look like it did.
Maybe they don't care. Like, maybe they're just like, this is my hobby, and I'm just going to make my yard look nice, but I don't care what your yard looks like.
I hope so.
You're imagining that they're judging you, but they might not be judging you.
True. And I guess I don't really care. I feel more authentic about the way our lawn looks now.
Yeah.
So it would feel inauthentic if it looked perfect. I'd be like, this isn't... You have ideas about us. It's just not who we are. So
right. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We hope that you feel encouraged and inspired from this conversation to come up with a list of things that you also don't do and feel good about that.
And celebrate that. And announce it to the world. If you want to, like us.
We also wanted to tell you a little bit about Patreon. If you have not joined us over there, we would love to have you do it. For $5 a month, you get 4 extra episodes per month where we talk more personally about things. We do some Q&Ps, question and process. This week we are recording an LTW Extra, which will be there. It's there right now. So if you would like to join Patreon, you can get that right away. And you can do that by going to patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined.
All right. Let's move on to loving this week.
Yes.
Angela, what are you loving this week?
Okay. I am loving, it is called The Secure Relationship. It is an Instagram account.
Yes.
They also have a website. And a book called The Secure Relationship.
Oh, great. I didn't know about the book.
Yeah. So it's Julie Manano. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist, and she runs all of it and wrote the book. Okay. And here's why I love it. This is about your partner, your romantic relationship. But I think it can be, a lot of the tips can apply to any relationship. But, therapy is great, right? I love therapy.
Love therapy.
And you've probably heard me talk about that before. I'm in therapy. I love it. But sometimes you can't get to therapy. A lot of times, right? It can be cost prohibitive, time prohibited. Maybe your partner doesn't want to go, whatever. There's a lot of reasons why people aren't doing therapy. And this is a good, I don't want to say substitute because it's not a substitute, but it's a good, there are some good basic tenets that you could use with your partner or just yourself if you can't get to therapy. I think it's a good substitute for right now if you are unable to do therapy. These are short. She has some graphics about different and scripts and things to say. Like when someone
I love that
complains about something to you, these are the things you can say back. These are what things you would say if you're in a secure relationship. These are things you can say if you're in an insecure relationship. And you might notice yourself in both, you know. These are things you can say when you're feeling like dysregulated. These are some things that might come out. As you practice more, these are some things that you might start to hear yourself say.
Wow.
And I just think every time I read one of her posts, it's really helpful to me. I bought the book. The book is a 6x6 book, so it's small, right? It's a little book. And it's basically her Instagram posts in a book.
Yeah.
In book form. And the reason I did that was my husband is not going to read Instagram posts.
Right.
He's just not.
Right.
So I felt like this book was something we could look at together. I mean, you can read the book in 15 minutes. It's short, right? But you could also read one page a day to digest the information and talk about it with your partner or by yourself. And then, do one a day or one a week or something like that, right?
I love
it's jam-packed.
That's great because I do feel like, as with therapy, you can get one little nugget and then think about that for a really long time.
Yes.
That sounds perfect.
That's what this is. And this book is It's small, but it could be like a coffee table book. It's just a book that's sitting out that you can like just read a little bit at once, or a little bit of little nugget, and then apply that nugget.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Ugh, perfect.
All right, Maren, what's your LTW?
I'm also loving a book.
Yes.
And I have mentioned it. I can't remember if I mentioned it on here or on Patreon, but it's called Thrivers: The Surprising Reasons Why Some Kids Struggle and Others Shine. It's by Michelle Borba, and she interviewed 100 kids and found out she was able to kind of boil it down to 7 traits that really help kids thrive. And surprisingly, they are not things that most kids, learn in school. So like her argument is that we need to incorporate these things in our learning. We cannot be worried about all the pressure. She especially talks about this high pressure that especially teens have in schools, and they are burning out. Our teenagers are burning out.
Yeah.
They're not even adults yet.
Yeah.
And so she talks about these traits and how they're so helpful and how we need to incorporate them. They're so important. They're so important in our learning. And why are we not teaching them in schools?
Okay, so this is like a school education kind of book and not like a parenting.
Well, it also does it's for parents and educators, for sure. Things you can just do to emphasize, these traits in your life and not worry so much about all the less important things.
Right.
You know how like you were just talking about how you're not emphasizing grades.
Yeah.
That's great. And that's kind of what one thing this book talks about.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So
sounds great.
Good job.
Thank you. Are you listening on audio?
I bought the book.
Okay.
And I am reading it, but I think I might get the audio as well.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Okay.
So, I think it's good for me to have it in both forms. I like it. I like the physical copy because then I can, I can fold down the pages. I can underline and highlight and whatever. I really like, and I like being able to reference it.
Yeah.
But I think a good like front to back listen would be really helpful for me too.
Gotcha. All right. I'm going to check that out for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for listening. If you want to find us, we are on Facebook and Instagram at Homeschool Unrefined. We have a website, homeschoolunrefined.com, where you can find links and show notes for everything that we talked about. And we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Homeschool Unrefined is created and produced by Maren Gorse and Angela Sizer. Amanda Ginn is our content and marketing strategist. This podcast is listener supported. Join our growing community at patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined.
We donate 10% of all Patreon income and product sales to The Conscious Kid, a Black and Brown-led organization that has been instrumental in our own evolution and in leading the way in both ideological and tangible change with their work in parenting and education through a critical race lens.
No matter how you homeschool, you are exactly who your kids need. You're doing great.